Hey everyone, welcome. This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. We are live with you tonight on this Thursday, September 12th, right here from the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios in Lubbock, Texas, and on 98.7 Walk by Faith, 1420 AM Lubbock Christian Nation. You guys know it. All those places, all those people out there streaming us on 987radio.com. Good evening. Hope you guys had a great day. All the social media people out there, hope you guys had a great day too. Uh, I've been I've been studying neurology all day long, and I'm hoping that tonight we have a little fun because my brain needs it. To tell you the truth, yeah, we started at 7:30 this morning, and we're back. We got this, we're in the middle of this 61-hour neurology certification program, and so did last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and now we started back again today. We got Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then Friday and Saturday next week. So that's what I've been doing all day. My brain is just stuffed with my brain is stuffed with neurology and brain maps and delta waves and alpha waves and all kinds of stuff. But I tell you, it's really, really super cool stuff. I'm really excited to get to do it. I think it's going to be great for you guys that want to participate in it. There's just a lot of stuff in here, and I had some things in my notes that I'm gonna just kind of review as we're going through this day, and I might bring some of them up because there's really, really, really cool stuff out there that I think that you guys would probably appreciate. So we'll try that, but there's a couple things I just want to start off. And I don't know, this may be an editorial. I don't even know if this is proper for this show. I know it is on 98.7 Walk by Faith, but I don't know if it is necessarily for our show that we do with you guys for health, but it does kind of relate to health. And it's been really cool. The first two football games of the season with Texas Tech, the first two football games have been challenging, right? And you guys know that if you're Texas Tech fans or you keep up with college football or you live in Lubbock or any of that sort of thing. And they've been a little challenging. Our first game, our defense didn't play very well. Our second game, our offense kind of messed up a little bit, and our coaches kind of made some weird calls. And so, which is part of the deal. I get it. It's like it's just part of the deal. And so, that first week, everybody got really, really fussy. And then the second week, everybody was still fussy. They're still fussy, really. I mean, so we're in the third week, and they're just ready to be fussy and move on to basketball if we don't do better. But no, there's a lot of people that are discouraged about what's going on out there. And I kind of caught myself in getting caught up into that, right? And then, Tuesday night we had that debate between Vice President Harris and former President Trump, and for you guys that are just joining us, this is my little editorial that I'm trying to tie into health. But I watched that. I watched that ridiculousness, really, and that's my editorial opinion on that. And I was frustrated by the lack of class and leadership that President Trump exhibited, and then the fakeness with the other side of it, and then the ridiculousness of it compared to what I used to watch when I was a kid. And maybe when I was a kid, I just had a different perspective of the whole thing. But I had kind of developed an opinion on that. I'd kind of developed an opinion on the way I felt about that, about the presidential race and what was going on and all that sort of thing. And when you start to develop opinion, you start to become bipolar, and then you're for your person, and then you hate the other person, and so you start to find all the negatives about the other person, and you start to find all the positives about your person, and then you get to where you don't like anybody that votes for the other person, and you only like the people that vote for your guy, And you can't understand why anybody would, your guy or gal, whatever, and you can't understand why anybody would want to even consider voting for that other person. And and then I watched that nonsense on Tuesday and got frustrated. And then I woke up and I thought about it multiple times yesterday, and I thought about it today, and I thought, you know what? It's the same way I felt about the first two football games. I and Dr. DeMartini used to talk about this years ago. He used to talk about learning to say I appreciate everything. Learning, that's what love is. Love is is everything is trying to move us back to a state of love and appreciation and gratitude. And the first two games really made me appreciate what I do for a living. It really made me appreciate what my tasks are today. And watching that debate really made me appreciate what I am all about, because I got caught up in what that crap was all about. What really do I have? How much investment am I going to make into the outcome of the presidential race? To be honest with you, I'm gonna my entire investment into the outcome of that presidential race is going to be one vote or nothing. I can't decide if I'm either going to vote for either one of those people. I didn't vote for them last time because I was like, it's ridiculous. That's the best you got out of America. I'm wasting my time going up there. Y'all figure it out yourselves, right? That's the way I felt about it last time. And then I kind of changed my opinion. And then after watching that debate, I kind of felt, I was like, you know what? What is it that I'm up to? What is it that I have to do today? What is it that I am going to invest my time, energy, talent, money? What is on my agenda today? What is the thing that I've decided to set my life on, to move forward, to dedicate my life to the highest calling that I can possibly dedicate it to, and then set my life up to do that every single day? What is it? Is it dealing with that race? And it's not. And so I found the place of appreciation. I appreciate how pitiful that was to watch. I appreciate how ridiculous those two grown people acted when we have serious things. I'm an Andrew Shepherd kind of guy, right? You know, if you don't know who Andrew Shepherd is, go watch The American President. But he's like, America has serious problems, and they need serious people to solve them. And neither one of those people are serious enough to really solve them, as far as I'm concerned. So, but I appreciate them for exposing the nonsense to me to get me back on track, because I've got important things to do. Your nervous system is what I'm doing. Your nervous system is what I'm up to, trying to make sure that I can be the best wellness chiropractor based in functional neurology that there is on the planet. That if I need to be the best me I can possibly be in the chiropractic realm, and it puts me it puts me back to being focused on the things that are important to me. If I might go up there and vote in November. This is September. This is September 12th. There's nothing I can do. All I can do between now and then is just get frustrated. All I can do between now and then is decrease my immune system function, increase my cortisol level, increase my blood sugar level, get all frustrated about it. Like, that's all I could do, and that's all they want us to do anyway. So I thought it was great. I thought watching that, the first two football games and watching that debate was great, because it's exactly what I needed to get me out of all that muck and mire. I don't care anything about that. Do I care about our country? Sure. What can I do? What can I do to make our country as strong as possible? You know what I could do? I could be the best husband that Leslie could possibly have. And I could be the best dad that Jacob and Caitlin could possibly have. And I could be the best chiropractor that all you guys could have. And I could be the best son, and I need to be better at that. And I could be the best brother, and I could probably work on that. And the really the best friend. If I had any friends, I'd be the best friend too. And that's about it. Like, You pretty much exceeded my skill set just working through that. And that's what's going to keep me on track. That's what's going to make my cells want to live. That's what's going to really move me forward. So I hope if you're getting caught up in this, if you're getting caught up into one of my patients, we were having this conversation just earlier, and she said, "Are you going to go to the game?" And I said, "Yes." I can't this week and next weekend because I'm studying neurology. That's why I can't go to the game, because what's more important to me is than the game is to study neurology these next 2 weekends. Because people do what they value, right? They do what they value. What studying neurology is more valuable to me than going to the football game this weekend. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss next week's game, the timing. And what kind of people schedule a neurology seminar in the middle of football season? I don't have any idea, but I didn't have any control over that either. So I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try to learn as much as I can. And then, of course, I'm going to go to the game. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to cheer for my team. But I'm going to try to keep my cortisol levels under control. No matter what happens, I'm going to try to control that. I'm going to try to be mature. And I'm not going to pay any attention to either one of those two people that are running for president until November. Then, if I want to, I'll go up there and I'll cast my vote. And that's my extent of mine. That's the extent by which I am interested in investing into that process. That's it. I got other things to do. I'm not going to spend my time running for senator. I'm not going to go up there and campaign for somebody. I'm not going to do all that stuff. That's it. And I'm really at peace with that. I'm really at peace with that. So anyway, that's my editorial. I don't have very many verbalized editorials. I think the whole entire show is an editorial, but that's all I have to say about that subject. But it wasn't. Maybe it's a different take than what you've had on it, and maybe you've gotten yourself a little bit stirred up about some of that stuff too. And maybe just talking through it, maybe that helped. Maybe that gets you a little calmer. Because right now we don't need our immune system to go down. We're headed into winter. I mean, we're fixing to start fall. We're headed into winter. This is not the time to be jacking with your immune system. This is the worst time of year. This is the time to be getting sleep. This is the time to make sure you got your vitamin D levels right. This is the time to make sure that you're heading into winter properly, right? You want your internal system to be as strong as possible right now. You don't want it to be weak. This is the time of rest. The earth is in wintertime. It is resting. We're coming into that phase where I need to be focused and strong and stay on track and don't get all blown here and there by every wind of change and cunning and craftiness of men. So enough of that. That's my editorial. So let's switch gears because, you guys on the radio, you're going to have to go back and watch this because this was a video that was shown to us today, and I want to show it to you guys, and it is super cool. And it's one of those things that goes along with what we've been doing this week. And I want you to see this because what you're going to see is you're going to see red. For you guys on the radio, it's a video, and you can go to on YouTube. You can go to blood flow. Blood flows out and cerebral spinal fluid flows into the sleeping brain. That's not what I actually looked for, but blood flows out and cerebral spinal fluid flows into the sleeping brain. Science News is where I got this. Laura Lewis N. Fuentes et al. Science 2019. And what was shown to us in this video, so this is some sort of MRI or something of a brain that the person fell asleep. It's a sleeping brain. And what you're going to see is a pumping action. You're going to see an increase in red, and then you're going to see a fading of red and an increase of blue. And that blue is cerebral spinal fluid that's being pumped in. And I've known this for my whole chiropractic practice, that the sacrum at the bottom of the spine, and the spine itself, all the way up to the occiput at the top, is a pump. It's a cerebral spinal fluid pump that pumps that fluid up and down your spine, and it keeps your spine healthy. It keeps it hydrated. It keeps it clean of trash, and it keeps it healthy. And one of the things that we know at night is that this gets back for you guys that didn't watch us early in the show last year. But our very first book review was with was The End of Alzheimer's by Dale Bredesen, and I've mentioned it lots of times. But he talks about what happens when we're in a fasted state, and he talks about autophagy, and he talks about cleaning up of the brain. And he talks about, if you don't eat, he has the keto 3-12 diet. Don't eat anything 3 hours before you go to sleep, and then try not to eat anything for 12 hours. So if you go to sleep at 10, then don't eat anything after 7, and then try to go from 7 to 7 a.m. That's 12 hours. If you're dealing with any cognitive decline, any sort of health issue, see if you could push it 4 hours from there. So start your eating time at 11 o'clock. So you would eat from 11 to 7, and then that would be your eating window right there. And then when you do eat, try to eat the kind of diet that we're always talking about, where you eat a ketogenic-ish type of diet. You're eating meat and vegetables. You're eating nuts and berries. You're eating just a little bit of fruit and no sugar. The whole CrossFit thing, right? It's the same thing. It's a low refined carbohydrate diet with complex carbohydrates, because he really believes that he's really into he calls it the keto flex. He thinks, and the guys today said the same thing when we were talking about the brain. The guys today said we need to be able to be flexible between glucose and ketones. So we need to be able to have that flexibility. And Dr. Bredesen says the same thing. He thinks that the body should respond to both of them. And the brain loves glucose. You just have to control how you get it. But he talks about in the book, in the autophagy, and in this process, how the brain cleans itself up at night. And what these guys showed us with this video was they showed us the pumping action. And I just wanted you to watch it because I think it's cool. It goes along with what we did Tuesday, maybe a couple nights. Yeah, Tuesday on the show when we showed all the pictures of the brain, and we talked about how magnificent it was. Well, this is actually an MRI of a sleeping brain, and it looks like this. And I know you guys can't see it on the radio, but look how the blood flow comes in, and then the spinal fluid comes in. And then the blood flow comes out, and then the spinal fluid, and I'm going to back it up, and I'm going to run it again so you can see it again. There's like, here comes the spinal fluid. Here comes the blood. Here comes the spinal fluid. It's kind of does a pumping action. And how the blood just covers the brain right there. And I thought that was just really cool what that looks like, and where you can see that blue coming in there. See if I can get a little bit. There we go. As the blood kind of leaves the cortex, and then it kind of flushes it all down into the shroud. So it's acting like a pump. And what it's doing is it's bringing nutrients in and toxins out. I'm sorry, I don't have any idea where that phone is. Hang on. I'd turn that off if I could get to it, but I don't think I could get to it. Hang on 1 second. You guys, hang on. Okay. That's what we do on this show. We just move around. Sorry, I didn't grab my phone, and I wasn't expecting that call. But anyway, how cool is that? I hope you guys think that's cool. I thought it was pretty cool to be able to actually see, like, wow, like when we're asleep, our brain is working. When we're asleep, our brain is like, it's like bringing nutrients in there to our cells, and then it's washing all that out and cleaning things up and giving us a chance to heal. And Dr. Huberman talks about learning at night. That's what one of my patients asked me today. Did you learn a bunch of stuff today? And I said, well, I highlighted it because I won't learn it until I go to sleep. So tonight I got to go home and go to sleep, and it's Thursday night, and we're back to football season again, right? And we got Arizona State playing. We got to check those guys out to see what's going on with them. So, because we got them next week, and then we got the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins and the Bills are playing tonight, and I'm, hey, for us football fans, this is where it starts. Thursday pushes it all the way through to Monday. Yeah. So, but that's where you learn. You learn at night when you sleep. Your body highlights, your brain highlights things all day long that are important to you. And then when you go to sleep at night, it comes back looking for all those highlighted parts, and it just sews them into your neurology. And it creates all those synapses, and it just builds them in there. And that's how you learn things, is at night, according to Dr. Huberman. You can go listen to him talk about it. It's pretty cool stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, I thought that was really cool. You guys can look it up if you want to, and let's watch it one more time just in case you are just joined us. Just watch this blood flow. The blood flowing in, the spinal fluid coming in, coming out, the pump action going on. The brain is getting nutrients and getting rid of all that trash. It's cleaning up that trash at night, getting it out of your brain. Yep. And if you increase your glucose levels and now your insulin shows up, it changes the way that functions. It changes autophagy, and if you eat without fasting like that, it changes that whole thing too. And what you end up with are things like Alzheimer's disease. And Dr. Bredesen actually reverses that stuff. Like, he reverses Alzheimer's disease, and with just doing that, going through, if you got Alzheimer's, you got dementia, that's a great book. We got just a second before our break, and I don't have it. It's on my bookshelf in there, but I'll show you the cover of it anyway. Yeah. That's what it looks like. I'm not touting this store or whatever, but I'm just saying I just needed a picture of that. So, The End of Alzheimer's by Dale Bredesen. If you've got anybody in your family that's dealing with Alzheimer's, if you've got anybody that's worried about dementia, that's a super cool book right there to be able to share with them. So let's move on to the next thing. Actually, yeah, we got some time to cover this one. This is an article that I saw last week that I thought I'd share with you guys. If I can get there. Old age and retirement. Speaking of dementia. Older age at retirement is associated with decreased risk of dementia. European Journal of Epidemiology. That's super awesome, because I'll decrease my risk of dementia to way on down the road, because you just don't retire in the chiropractic world. So, but this comes from European Journal of Epidemiology, May 4th, 2014, pages 353 to 361. This is from a whole group of people at the University of Bordeaux, France, and the University of California, San Francisco. And these authors tested the hypothesis that age at retirement is associated with dementia risk. They assessed the risk using 429,803 retired self-employed people. That's a big group right there that they studied. There are strong arguments suggesting that intellectual stimulation could prevent dementia or delay its onset. The concept of cognitive reserve suggests that higher education is protective against the biological effects of brain aging. There's another one for me right there. Yeah, higher education is protective. Just don't stop learning. Just like I need every help I could get. I mean, all the help I could get when it comes to this subject. I promise you. Um, so, and you guys know that already. You guys know that already. But uh, it suggests that lifespan mental activity could be protective against dementia. An important source of decrease in mental stimulation during life is retirement. Let me say it again. Important source of decrease in mental stimulation during life is retirement, with the potential to increase the risk of dementia. So when you retire, then you stop thinking, you stop working, you stop moving, you stop doing all those things. At first you don't, but then after a while you don't have anything to do. And if you don't have anything to do, then you'll sit on your couch and look at your phone, or you'll watch TV all day. And oh, hang on, sorry. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. We'll be right back right after these messages. You guys stick with us. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. That was loud. I had my microphone turned, my speakers turned up a little bit too loud right there in my ears, and that one caught me off guard. Um, yeah, we don't want to lose. We don't want to lose movement. That's what I see in retirement is we lose movement, and then movement drives the brain. And we spent all day talking about right side and left side brain, but and it was so funny. I don't know if I talked. I'm going to wait till we get back. I don't know if I talked about the blurriness last night. I don't remember if I drew that. I figured out what happened with these eyes. I don't know if I drew that on the board last night, but sorry, those are 2 or 3 thoughts all coming together at the same time. When we retire and we get off our feet and we don't challenge our brain, it increases the chances of dementia, according to this study done by these people right here. And they had a lot of points, the cost of dementia. And then Dr. Murphy had a letter to the editor, and he said, "Thank you for your article, Cost of Dementia, in the September-October 2015 RAND Review. The magnitude of the problem and its associated costs are staggering. Simple math indicates that throwing more money at the problem, once diagnosed, is not the answer, which is why I believe your article missed the point. The only workable solution is prevention. This means that lifestyle changes that are known to reduce the risk of dementia should be started much earlier in one's life." So at the end, they talked about the cost of dementia and what, add more money to it. Unless you're going to do what Dr. Bredesen does, but still you're way better off. We're way better off if we stop it before it starts, right? We're way better off than to get caught up in dementia. And dementia, they're wanting to say that Dr. Bredesen breaks it down into like 31 or 32 different causes. There's some ApoE4 alleles that you can have in your genetics that increase if you have 2 sets of them. Or 2 of them, it increases it. And but most of it is lifestyle choices. And so there's some things that you could do to help yourself with that. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. Sorry about that scream right there before the break. I apologize for that. I had my headphones turned up too loud, and that caught me off guard, and that was reactive right there. So I apologize for that. But yeah, really, we were talking about we were talking about this whole article on dementia, and Dr. Murphy makes a good point at the end, and he says the only workable solution is prevention. And the better we can prevent Alzheimer's, the better off we're going to be. And I mean, eventually everyone's going to die. So you're going to die of something somewhere down the road. But if you could kick that can as far down the road as you can. So what are things that Dr. Bredesen talks about? He talks about controlling your insulin and making sure you're taking your fish oil, making sure you're getting your sleep, making sure you're getting your exercise, making sure you're getting your proper nutrients. That's a summary of the End of Alzheimer's book. And it goes back to if we were going to have a summary of what you might do to prevent cancer, you know what it would be? It would be to get your exercise, get your sleep, take your fish oil, watch your insulin, like health. The thing that's so repetitive about health is that it's the same answer for almost all the problems. It's we got so many answers these days. You can just go on to Instagram, and it won't take just be on Instagram for 30 minutes, and I bet you have 15 different things that come across your Instagram that says something about here's the new thing with health. Like this morning, Debbie was talking about things that she'd seen, weight loss on the Vibe plate. I did all that study back several years back. When the first time I bought a vibration plate in my office, I studied the heck out of that. I went to every article I could come up with. I got every research paper that I could find on weight loss and the Vibe plate. It doesn't exist. It's made of, it's like somebody's sister's boyfriend or some deal. Like my mom's sister's daughter, has to be my cousin. I don't know. So it was one of those deals that lost 15 pounds when they started doing Vibe plate. That I don't believe that at all. I think it's hogwash. I think the people that sell that stuff that's hogwash. There's all kinds of things like that you got to sift yourself through, right? Do I think there's value in the Vibe plate? Absolutely. I think there's value in the Vibe plate. I bought 5 of them. Like it's vibration. There's some value in muscle building. There's some value in neurology. There's some value in 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 excitement, neurochemistry, all that sort of thing. Like I think there is based on what I've studied, but I don't think there is in weight loss. I think weight loss comes down to controlling your hormones, controlling your insulin, and to a certain extent, watch your calories. I'm going through an experiment right now, and it's kind of interesting. I probably gained 13 pounds. I started working out 4 days a week instead of 2 days a week, adding weights to when we came back from that Neurocon. I asked MJ and Katie how often they study. I mean, how often they work out, and they said 5 or 6 days a week or something. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to increase from 2 days to 4 days. And when I did, I started adding heavier weights on those other 2 days. And that, I don't know, with that and the combination of the end of the summer and having a few more fruits, because I'm not eating any refined carbohydrates. I don't know what kicked it or changed it, but something changed it. And so I can tell you that you can gain weight. Everybody right now in the world is telling it's like I've heard Dr. Huberman say it. I've heard Dr. Attia or whatever his name's talk about it. I've heard a bunch of people in the health and wellness world talk about, hey, if you just eat the meat and vegetables and you just eat the nuts and berries, that you can control your weight by controlling your insulin. Well, I think you can control your weight by controlling your insulin, but you can get your insulin out of control with too much fruit. And there's people that fuss about that, and they say, no, come on now. That's not, no one's ever gotten fat from eating grapes. And I don't really think that's true. This is another editorial, I guess, another comment. I don't think that's true. I think Leslie and I yesterday at lunch, we went back to Justin Richards, and and we watched several. We watched several of his. You guys know him, Insulin Resistant One. I'm not going to get into it, but Insulin Resistant One on Instagram, and we watched several of his videos. And we watched watermelon, we watched cantaloupe, we watched grapes. Grapes didn't really the green grapes didn't really raise it too much, but the watermelon and the cantaloupe did. And there was one other fruit that we watched that created a spike. The banana obviously created a spike. And so you get to this time of year, and all of a sudden you're not controlling your insulin because you're eating too much of those ripe fruits. Now, maybe according to some of the things I learned from Dr. Peterson, maybe that's appropriate. Maybe we're supposed to gain a little weight at the end of the year, at the end of the summer. Hormones change. I'm not exactly sure. I'm working through it right now. But I'm just telling you that there are the things that you hear about how it actually works, and the things that, because I got a request from JT yesterday about the food stuff, and I just didn't have time today. I was just solid busy all day, and I didn't have time to get that done. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow or the next day we might be able to do it. Depends on how if those guys start talking about something I don't want to listen about. What foods do you eat? How do you prepare your meals? What foods do you eat? Those things that are going on, just know that there's some fundamental ways of doing things. And I think that the most important thing out of all of it is to make sure that you're headed in the right direction with your vision and your purpose. Okay, that's enough of that. I didn't mean to get on sidetracked on that. I have another article I've been wanting to show you guys for a week. And this one is something that you don't really probably never seen, and you take for granted, and I just wanted to share it with you. Okay, this one is the association between anticholinergic medication use and cognition, brain metabolism, and brain atrophy in cognitively normal older adults. This came from Journal of the American Medical Association, Neurology, April 18th, 2016. A whole bunch of guys and gals from Indiana University School of Medicine. This paper was prepared for Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative. Background: anticholinergic drugs block the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. Many of these drugs are common over-the-counter drugs used to treat colds, flus, hay fever, allergies, and heartburn. And they've got some different stuff here, but the use of anticholinergic medication is linked to cognitive impairment and increased risk of dementia. 20 references are cited for that. The study used two cohorts of cognitive normal older adults, assessing 451 subjects. Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Initiative, Indiana Memory and Aging Study. They went through the scores, the assessments. The assessments included the total number of medications, the total number of common comorbid conditions, including transient ischemia. I'm not going to go through all those. There's a bunch of issues that went there. The group that had participant that were taking anticholinergic medication with medium or high anticholinergic activity showed lower memory and recall scores, lower executive function composite scores, and reduced total cortical volume and cortical thickness. I don't know if they're even going to tell us. A significant association between these medication use and future progression of, what is this? They got a bunch of Alzheimer's disease. Was observed. There was an increase of 147%. I was trying to look and see, because I don't think they do. Let me just look up a list for you because it's like Benadryl and all that stuff. Because you guys probably want to know. Anticholinergics are a broad group of medicines that act on neurotransmitter acetylcholine. Here's a list of them. Um, let me see if there's some of them you might. No, that's not a very. These are all. They don't have the common names. Let me see if I can find a different one. Um, Things like that you would use for urinary incontinence, overactive bladder, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, um, Benadryl, Tylenol PM, Advil PM, Unisom, sleep gels, Dimetap, Dramamine, Unisom sleep tabs, Atropine. Um, what are some of these? These are prescriptions. I don't even know all these prescriptions. Cyclopentolate. I didn't do pharmacology in school. I try to stay away from all that stuff. Oxybutynin, Diatropan. There's a there's just a bunch of them right there. You could go. I'm looking at Healthline right now. You can look up anticholinergics and see which some of them they are. But I know Benadryl. People just use that like it's candy. Like anytime you got any sort of like reaction, you just take your. One of my people told me they took 3 Benadryl that knocked them out. Right. So the Tylenol PM. That's like that whole thing with. I mean, you guys know that acetaminophen and all that stuff. It's not good for you, right? But it does lead to an increase in dementia. 147%, an increase by the guys. If you use it a lot, you get an increase of 673% of dementia risk. Use of medications with medium or high anticholinergics effects was associated with poorer cognition and immediate memory recall and executive function, reduced glucose metabolism, whole brain and temporal lobe atrophy, and clinical decline. It was just it was just all of that. That's enough. That's enough of that. Of that article, and it goes along with that same thing with that Dr. Murphy said. Hey, the best thing is prevention. So those 2 articles kind of went together. I thought I would share that with you. If you're taking some of those things, so let's just walk through them, right? Because I had a conversation today with one of my patients who's got a 15-month-old child, and they're on their 3rd round of antibiotics for ear infections. And she doesn't know what to do. It's her first child, right? And if you're like everybody else in the world, everybody has kids that have ear infections, and then what do you do? And then what if you're talking to your friends and your friends' kids had ear infections, and you talk to your mom and your dad because, hey, what y'all do when we had ear infections, and all the things. Well, just take them to the pediatrician, and you take them to the pediatrician, and what's the pediatrician going to do? Give them antibiotics, and then they got to run through that deal of antibiotics, and then what are they going to get? They're going to get their second ear infection. How many of you as parents had that happen? You had your first one, and then you had your second one. They had their second round had their second ear infection, and then they had their second round of antibiotics. And then they had their 3rd ear infection, and they had their 3rd round of antibiotics. Now, let's think about that for a second. What is happening? Why would a child just spontaneously develop an ear infection out of the blue? I'm going to present for consideration that child doesn't spontaneously create an ear infection out of the blue. And you may have never heard this before, but there's some things that increase allergies inside the body, and one of them is dairy. Dairy will do that. And I can show you the literature on it. And so I grew up in Chaves County, New Mexico, in the middle of the number one dairy producing county in the Southwest for years and years. So I'm not anti-agriculture or anything like that. I'm just saying that what is happening, and I said this to her. I said, "Did you breastfeed?" And she said, "Yeah, for about 6 weeks." And then I said, and then we went to a bottle, and it was partly breast milk but partly formula. And I said, "Does he drink a lot of milk?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, there's an allergen in the environment somewhere." And I told her, I said, "Look, in 20 years of seeing patients, seeing little kids, I've never had one that if you got them adjusted and got them off of dairy, that their ear infections didn't go away." So it was like that. We don't think of it. And why do the pediatricians don't tell people that? How come the pediatricians don't tell them, "Hey, wait a minute. This is the third time I've seen you for this same problem. What are you doing in your environment that's causing this problem? What is happening with this child that all of a sudden they can't stop having ear infections?" When does the pediatrician? I bet you there's some good pediatricians out there that probably have that conversation, but when does a pediatrician get paid? A pediatrician gets paid when your child is sick. How many well checks after 1 year old do you take your child to if your child is healthy? Zero. When do you go see your pediatrician if your child's healthy? You don't. What's the incentive of the pediatrician to keep your child healthy? What's the incentive of telling you the things that, how many visits we had with Caitlin and Jacob after we got through? Like Jacob was a few more because I didn't know till later. But when Caitlin was 1, Jacob was 4. You know how many visits we had to the pediatrician from Caitlin's 1 year well check to now? She's 23. Zero times did we go to the pediatrician. $0 were spent in the pediatrician's office. I'm not telling you that not to go get care if you need care. I'm not telling you that you should ignore your child's care. I'm not telling you any of that. I'm telling you that if you'll keep your child well, you'll have less visits to the pediatrician. If you keep your child well, how could you possibly keep your child well? Start with the food that you feed them. Watch the screen time. That was another one. I printed it off, but I didn't grab it. I wanted to talk about that tonight too. There's an entire, and this came from the Surgeon General of all people. This came from the Surgeon General about cell phone time and screen time with kids, and some of the things that, because we see it. The guys that have been doing, the guy that taught me this morning has been doing EEGs. He's a medical doctor, neurologist. He's been doing EEGs for 40 years. He now does QEEGs as well as his EEGs. He taught the EEG board. He's been doing. He's like a super smart EEG guy. Brain waves, right, for all kinds of issues, epilepsy and all that stuff. And he said that he's never seen more bad scans in the last 5-10 years than he has in his entire career. He said it's just, he sees more bad scans now than he ever has before. He sees all kinds of crazy stuff on the scans and part of it, we know that, right? Part of it is that wrong environment for the brain. So if you're trying to raise a healthy child, one of the things that's vitally important is to get them to move. The other thing is to watch their screen time. The other thing is to watch their refined carbohydrates and watch their dairy intake. Dr. Guest used to talk about it. He said all the time, and I know this is crazy, but he would say, milk is a good drink for baby cows. You guys have heard me say that before. I didn't even mean to get off into that today. I wanted to talk a little bit more about brain. So let's just transition before I get in trouble, because I'll probably get in trouble if I keep going much further on that subject. Have the whole country at my door getting in trouble. I'm not anti farmers. Just telling you, if you got a child with ear infections, that's been my solution, and so far it's 100%. If it matters, if it doesn't matter, you can just do more antibiotics till you have tubes. That's what you do. You do antibiotics, ear infection, antibiotics, ear infection, antibiotics, ear infection, tubes, second tubes. Then they'll grow up, and then it'll all be okay once they grow up. Okay, we got about 5 minutes left. We've got a show on nutrition coming up. If you guys have any other subject you want to talk about, please send me a text, send me something in the chats. I'd be glad to talk about it. I have a text right here that somebody was showing me. They were sending me some fish oil. And they asked me to evaluate this for them. Antarctic krill oil, Vitality Cold Water Omegas, and Nordic Naturals Ultimate Omega and Bionutrients Fish Oil Complex. So let's start with that one. The Nordic Naturals. See, we sell Nordic Naturals here in the office, but I'll just show you how much different all this is, and we'll just spend a little time because this is something that everybody's could be interested in. I'll just show you the differences. This is the Nordic Naturals. There's 2 soft gels, and it says total omegas is 1280, but EPA is 650, and DHA is 450. So we like to have that. What I'd rather have that in a 2-to-1 ratio right there. But there's 450, and that's for 2 soft gels, so that's 225 each. So we want DHA to equal 1,000, so that's 225. 1,000 divided by 225. You need to take 4.5. You need to take 5 pills. You need to take 5 pills a day with that Nordic Naturals one right there. And the other one, 2 soft gels. It says fish oil concentrate 2,000 milligrams, but it says EPA 600 and DHA 400. So that's for 2 soft gels. So you got to divide that by 2, which is 200. So you have to take 5 pills. Now, that's to get to the baseline that we're talking about. Now, remember, whenever you're doing any of this supplement stuff like vitamin D or fish oil, the best thing to know how to dose it would be to test it. Just test and see what your ratios are. And then if you've been taking this and your ratios are fine, then just continue taking this. But if your ratios are wrong, then no. And see, they get into the krill oil, and that's 120 and 80. I don't know where this krill oil came from. I don't know why everybody's on the krill oil bandwagon. I'm not even a fan of it in any form or fashion. The EPA is 120, and the DHA is 80. And that's for 2 soft gels, so it's 40. So in my world, whatever the math is on that, 1,000 divided by 40, you'd have to take 25 pills. You have to take 25 pills to get your DHA to 1,000. Now, maybe krill oil is different. Maybe somehow it has some sort of different property than regular fish oil, but I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't understand what the big deal is with krill oil. I don't understand why. I know Mercola got on it a few years back, started getting everybody to do it. I don't really understand it at all. I don't know why people go for it. I'm not a fan of it. And then 660 and 200 for 2 soft gels on this other one. So there'd be 100, so you had to take 10 of them to get to the levels that I think a person ought to be at. So thank you for sending me the text. I really do appreciate that. I'm glad to do that for you. And you know who you are. So if I can ever answer any of these questions like that, I'd be glad to break them down for you. What we're looking for in fish oil is the EPA to be 2-to-1 and the DHA to be 1,000 milligrams. So that's how I got there. You got to divide that by 2 because there's 2 soft gels. So if it says 450, 2 soft gels is 225. Divide that into 1,000. That gets you your ratio. That's not 2-to-1, but that's all right. EPA is your anti-inflammatory part. DHA is for your brain. Hey, that's all we got for you today. I appreciate you listening to the show. I hope you guys have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow night at 6. Hopefully we'll have some cool stuff to talk about. And thanks for watching the show. If I can help you, let me know.